This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Welcome back, everybody, to Wrestling Omakase. It is episode number 161, and this week I'm pleased to be joined by a returning guest. Hello, Gerard.
Hey, John. Glad to be back and ready to talk a lot about wrestling, because I think I've taken more notes for this show than any other time I've been on.
Yeah, there's just so much wrestling going on right now, and it's one of those things where I feel like we should appreciate it while it lasts, because, like, if you look at the coronavirus situation in Japan, it's like, who knows how long we're going to have this much wrestling going on, at least in front of crowds, you know?
Well, New Japan seems to be ready to go on a 22 or 28 like G1 Climax.
They're really confident that Abe is not going to shut this shit down again. Maybe he won't, I don't know. But, you know. I mean, I guess what else are they supposed to do, right? Until it's shut down. But,
yeah.
I mean, they could have... I definitely, you know, they announced, like you said, it's 19 dates. It's very ambitious. It's like they're going to go all the way to Hokkaido and, you know, as far as, you know, Kobe and all. Like, hit a lot of their normal stops. I think the only place they would normally go for a G1 that they're not going is, like, Fukuoka. I don't think there was a Fukuoka date. I wrote them all down, so I have them. But I don't think they're going as far south as Fukuoka. But, you know, it is an ambitious tour, given the, you know, the COVID situation in Japan is not exactly looking great these days. But, you know, I guess they're hoping it'll get back under control without having to do a full shutdown. But, anyway, I guess hopefully we don't talk a lot about coronavirus anyway, because I'm sure people are tired of hearing about that. For now, we have lots of Japanese wrestling. We have a ton of topics to talk about, you know, so we'll get right into it here. We have All Japan with the Champion Carnival announcement. We have a ton of New Japan shows in 2 countries and Noah. So, you know, I guess we already did a little bit of banter before we even recorded, so I guess we could even... I mean, what have you been doing lately, Gerard? Anything special? Just watching lots of wrestling like me, I assume?
Yeah, pretty much. Lots of wrestling, getting back and watching a lot of old wrestling too, which has been a lot of fun. And discovering, I've actually mostly watched stuff that I've already seen before, but I found a few like sort of hidden gems in there too.
Yeah, it's like during the 5 matches Omakase, which, you know, I'm going to plug here in a second. It's mostly stuff I've seen before, but then, like, people will plug me stuff that I've never seen. Like, you know, Todd Martin on the episode that just went up, you know, did the Super Dragon Necro Butcher match, which I've obviously heard of, but just never got around to watching for whatever reason. So that was quite the experience. But, you know, so that's a good little transition then into the Patreon plug. So if you're not subscribing, which, you know, is obviously many of you, I'm sure, we have so much stuff going over on the Patreon right now. It's at patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. It's only $5 per month. We just put up a brand new Patreon exclusive 5 matches episode with me and Todd Martin from the PW Torch. You know, we talked about like I said, Super Dragon versus Necro Butcher, the Funks against Brody and Hanson from All Japan in '82, Regal versus Fit Finlay from WCW in '96, Hiroshi Tanahashi and Katsuyori Shibata from the G1 in 2014, and Kenta Kobashi versus Yoshihiro Takayama from Noah in 2004. So, a great collection of matches. Really had a lot of fun with Todd on that one. So that's up there right now on the Patreon for you if you subscribe. We're also doing daily tournament audio, so if you're wondering why we're not talking about the King of DDT or the Tokyo Joshi Princess Cup, which are both going on right now, there's just so much to talk about that, honestly, it's not even just me trying to earn your $5. I mean, I don't know how we would fit all of that onto what's already going to be a packed episode, so I had to move some of it to the Patreon at least. So we're doing daily tournament coverage. The first day is already up for Saturday, which had the first round of the King of DDT and Tokyo Joshi Princess Cup. We'll be doing it again, later today on Sunday as I'm recording this. We'll be doing for the second round of King of DDT and the first half of the second round for Tokyo Joshi, and then Monday we'll do the quarterfinals for King of DDT and the other half of the second round for Tokyo Joshi. So, we're going to be covering that daily. We'll continue on the 15th when Tokyo Joshi continues their tournament with the quarterfinals. So we're going to be covering those tournaments all the way to the end. You get all that coverage on the Patreon. You get the Naito Ishii series that we're doing. We just reached the fourth episode of that, which covered a ton of history stuff too with Naito and Ishii. The entire period between 2014 and their third match in 2014 and their fourth match in 2016. The transformation of Naito and the start of LIJ. We talked about all that stuff. It was a lot of fun. The entire Okada Tanahashi series is completed. The Sengoku Lord review I did a few weeks back. Anime Omakase, if you want to hear about anime. We have 4 episodes already with more to come. Probably the next one will be on the show I've been telling everybody to watch. Hame for, My Next Life as a Villainous, which was a big hit from the spring season this year. So definitely looking forward to recording on that one and putting it up on the Omakase Patreon. So, it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you come check it out if you haven't already. We've gotten a bunch of new patrons this weekend, actually. So, I hope you'll come join us. Patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. $5 gets you all that stuff I just talked about. So definitely come check it out.
As a Patreon subscriber, I would like to say that it's worth your $5 a month.
Thank you very much, Gerard. We just hit the a threshold that I'm very happy with. So it's like I have 2 thresholds. I have numbers that I want, and then I also want to stay ahead of WrestleJoy. So we're doing good on both counts so far. But yes, so the Champion Carnival, the blocks were announced. That's the first topic we're going to cover here today. It's going to be like a reduced tournament, smaller blocks than usual. It's only 6 shows total, right? Is that right?
Yeah, it's 6 shows, and so unlike New Japan, All Japan is clearly playing it safe because all of the there's 3 of the 6 shows are in Korakuen, and 2 of the other shows are both in Kanagawa Prefecture, one in Kawasaki and one in Odawara, and the furthest they leave Tokyo is to Nagoya, where they actually is one of their better cities outside of the Tokyo area where they draw, but that's it. And so I think that's sort of like a sign of how cautious they're being.
Yeah, look, it probably also speaks to let's say you're New Japan and you book all this stuff and they have to cancel it all. Bushiroad can afford that. Right. All Japan probably cannot afford to book a bunch of stuff that gets canceled. So it makes a lot of sense.
And you might not be wanting to go all the way to Sapporo or Osaka if you can't fill up the building 100% either.
Right. And for people who don't know, by the way, Kanagawa is very close to Tokyo, so it's it's one of the next prefectures over. So, but yeah, so the Champion Carnival, Block A is Suwama, Jiro Ikemen Kurishio, Zeus, Jake Lee, and Kuma Arashi. Kuma, of course, comes from the end of Wrestle 1. So I guess you would call him an outsider, and you call Ikemen outsiders. I don't know why people are saying no outsiders. There's outsiders here. They've been...
Yeah, but they're just basically full-time All Japan guys now.
Well, has Ikemen been around that much? I haven't noticed.
Since the pandemic started, yeah.
Okay. I haven't been really... I'm way behind.
He was on almost all of their... Maybe not all of them, but most of their empty arena shows from 2AW Square.
I don't know. Maybe I was only watching the main events or something. Block B has Kento Miyahara, Shuji Ishikawa, Yoshitatsu, Yuma Aoyagi, and Shotaro Ashino. I think I have to say, tentatively, Block B looks quite a bit better.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah. So any matches in here you're very excited for? I assume Kento versus Ashino would be towards the top of the list, like it is for me.
Yeah, I think that's the number one. Other ones, honestly, Jake Lee versus Zeus, because they don't really tangle that often. So I'd like to see that, because I think that could be pretty fun. But also one thing I'm thinking, and if you sort of look back in the mid-2000s, the carnivals were a lot of just like 5 or 6 per block, and if you go all the way back to like the mid-90s, the G1 climaxes, when they were only 5 or 6 guys, you got a lot more draws. So I kind of suspect that's what we're getting in here, especially considering you've got to sort of like book certain ways and try to get people through. So I'm expecting a couple of draws this time around.
And do you have any early predictions as of?
Well, frankly, the only acceptable finals, I mean, if you're actually trying to, push forward some momentum in the company, is Jake Lee versus Ashino.
That seems to be the very popular prediction I've
seen.
But,
I mean, it being All Japan, you can't really rule out they just have Kento go to the finals and win it even. I mean, that's not impossible, but honestly, I think Ashino should win and avenge his loss to Suwama, but I think if it is Jake Lee versus Ashino in the finals, it's probably Jake winning and then beating Suwama for the Triple Crown like the next month.
All right, so there you go. That's and very few people follow All Japan as close as you do. So I definitely trust your prediction here. I mean, Jake Lee seems like a very likely winner to me as well. If I was going to say somebody off the board, yeah, probably Ashino. If they really want to go off the board, maybe even Aoyagi.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting.
But I don't know. It just felt like before the pandemic that it was going to be Jake Lee, although they haven't really done too much with him lately. But one thing I'm pretty sure is that Suwama would still not be the Triple Crown champion right now if there was no pandemic. So
there you go. That's the Champion Carnival participants. We'll obviously be covering it here on Omakase when it kicks off in September, right? Or is it the end of August?
No, it's September.
Okay. So we're going to be covering it here. I don't know if it'll be on the Patreon or on the free feed. I have to figure it out. I mean, I kind of figured, one of the things I wanted to do on the Patreon is like the daily tournament coverage for, the G1 and the Champion Carnival, maybe even the N1. I did not assume they would all be going on simultaneously, so I have to figure out what the fuck I'm going to do with that.
Well, do we know, is the N1 going on Wrestle Universe, or is it just going to be all over the place?
Yeah, no one. I don't think we know yet. So yeah, I know there was a tweet by Chris Samsa that really laid out how these tournaments are going to be going on at the same time. Let me see if I can find it, because the dates are kind of crazy. But yeah, the Champion Carnival is only 6 days, so that will help a little bit. But obviously the G1 is 19. The N1, I don't think we have a full schedule yet, do we? I think we know.
I think we do. It's maybe only slightly longer than the Champion Carnival. It's certainly not a super long tour either.
Yeah, so there you go. So let me see the actual dates that it overlaps. Okay, so the Champion Carnival looks like it kicks off the first on September 12th. The N1 Victory starts on the 18th. The G1 Climax starts the next day on the 19th. And they all run concurrently until October 5th when the Champion Carnival ends. The N1 looks like it ends October 11th. And the G1 goes all the way through October 18th. So, and then I have another one with the whole schedule. I mean, they actually aren't. It doesn't look like there's any days where all 3 of them run at the same time, so that's good at least.
But I think there's a day where it's like Korakuen, it's like one day is All Japan, and the next day is the N1, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. But it doesn't look like there's any day where all 3 of them are at the same time, so that's good.
Although I'm sure that's also why Sugiura is not in the Champion Carnival now.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's why. Yeah. So there's a bunch of days, like the G1 and the N1 are both September 18th. N1 and Champion Carnival are both September 20th. That kind of thing. So the N1 finals on the same day as the G1. Champion Carnival finals on the same day as the G1 as well. So it's going to be a busy time provided all these shows actually happen. So I guess we'll see. Anyway, let's get into the New Japan shows from this past week, and there were a lot of them. We're going to start out with New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong, the first week of that, the U.S. show on August 7th on Friday. I figure, first of all, it's the easier thing to cover than the 4 Korakuens, just because it's one show. There was only 4 matches. We didn't really talk about the Lions Break Collision shows on this podcast because I still have not watched them, honestly. I just never got around to it. Did you see those or no?
Yes, I did. I liked them.
Yeah, they seem to get universally positive reviews, so I should go back and check them out. It just didn't happen. But these shows caught my eye because, first of all, they're doing like a major tournament here, the New Japan Cup USA, with 8 participants and a shot at the U.S. title on the line. It sounds like, I think Rocky Romero on Wrestling Observer Live said, until they're able to book Jon Moxley again to defend the U.S. title, they might actually just defend the U.S. Title #1 contendership contract. So it'll almost be like a interim champion. Which is kind of interesting.
There'll be a lot of defenses of that contract at this rate.
Yeah. But yeah, so the entire the presentation of the show was very cool. I mean, it starts out with like an opening video. We get Kevin Kelly and Alex Kozlov, who used to be one half of Forever Hooligans at Rocky Romero. Kind of an out of nowhere pick to be color commentator. It was interesting. I didn't even really know he was still around. But he didn't. I wouldn't say he was bad. The two of them were like, a little boring at times, maybe. And like, not that I don't like Kevin Kelly or anything, but like, you're doing empty arena. You really need to like bring extra energy, I feel like.
Yeah. And well, you're not even there.
Well, they were there, I thought.
I thought that looked like it was like digitally projected.
Oh, maybe you're right.
That's what I thought, but I could be wrong. But it looked off to me.
Well, who knows? Whether they're there or not, they got to yell more. That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, if you notice the Japanese announcers, what do you agree with, Nicole?
I noticed that it sounded very dead when he was announcing.
Okay, so Nicole agrees with me. Yes, they really got to yell more, and like the Japanese announcers do a really good job covering for not just. I mean, they did a good job covering for empty arena, and even now they do a good job of covering for the clap only crowds. By being very energetic and screamy, and the two of them got to get used to that and do a little more like high energy here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have no clue if he's just in this for just the sort of show, or if they're considering using him for the long haul. But so we'll have to see.
So the other thing we get is like a really cool montage of like previous New Japan Cup winners, starting with 2015 and Kota Ibushi, right through Evil this year, which is like a cool way to show that this first ever New Japan Cup USA is connected. Not USA New Japan Cup. Kenta will get mad if you say it in the wrong order. That was kind of funny. I mean, his Twitter persona in general is pretty funny. So we opened up with, speaking of Kenta versus Carl Fredericks. Oh, the other thing I want to mention too is the staging and like it looked very Major League, I thought, for what's probably like a converted warehouse. They did a good job with these screens everywhere with the logos and stuff.
Looks cooler than the Performance Center.
Yeah, I mean the Performance Center looked fucking stupid. How is there like I don't know, they're like $1 billion company and they can't make the Performance Center look more like anything? Like, it just looks like this fucking empty building. I don't know. But it's a good point. I mean, like, it looks so stupid. So this is my first time seeing the new look Carl Fredericks here. Him versus Kenta was the opener of the New Japan Cup USA first round. I also heard his new entrance music for the first time. It's very interesting. It's like almost like a techno beat or something. But Kenta came out to the Bullet Club music for whatever reason. I like to think they just didn't have a copy of his theme song, because it's never been released anywhere. So, like, maybe...
Or they're reminding you that he's still in the Bullet Club.
I don't know. It's funny. I like that this thing is for New Japan Cup USA. They're in the US and they still have a Japanese ring announcer announcing everything in Japanese. It's like, that's a good touch. Way to keep it authentic. I mean, I was telling Todd, like, these shows are like surprisingly popular with Japanese fans. Like, if you look at the hashtags, they actually tweet about them a lot.
Well, they had Tanahashi and Shibata doing commentary for Lions Break in Japanese, which I thought was really cool.
I wonder.
So I think that probably gets some eyeballs.
I wonder if they did it for this one too. I didn't check.
No, I didn't either.
Yeah, but yeah, the Japanese fans seem to be into it, and like there's almost like I don't know, like they seem very like proud of the fact that they have this New Japan Cup or this New Japan USA thing that's still trying to continue on during the pandemic. Seems to be a source of pride for New Japan fans. But yeah, so Kenta took control of this match early with his elbows and his kicks and just really beat his ass. He kept telling Carl to go ahead and fire him back and then just puts him down with one elbow. Real good stuff. Even though Carl's not a young lion anymore, this was like very close to a young lion versus veteran match for a while. But Kenta really just destroying him. But Carl finally came back with like this neck breaker and a charge into the corner. And then he had a backdrop suplex and an elbow drop. Kenta took back over really quickly. But Fredericks came back and got like this nice half crab. But Kenta escaped. Kenta came back with a huge lariat that Fredericks took a nice flip bump for. And you don't really associate Kenta with a lariat, but it was a really nice one. And Carl kicks out at 2. Kenta ends up hitting this really cool like overhead right hand slap. Just a brutal counter. And then a big strike combo. And then finish him clean as a sheet with the go to sleep for the pin. Close to a squash for Kenta. Not quite, because Carl did get a little bit of offense. But definitely one-sided here. I thought this was really good. I went 3.5 on it. Definitely a good opener.
Yeah, it was okay. Like a squash, like you said. I thought actually, given it was a little weird, and I didn't expect that, given how great Carl looked on those line break shows. So I was kind of surprised at how this. I thought Kenta would win, but I was sort of surprised how it played out, and so I think that sort of slightly subtracted from my enjoyment of this match. But it's still like, as a squash match, it's pretty good.
Yeah. Maybe they're just trying to show that Carl isn't quite ready to be like a top guy yet, but
Yeah, his ego's getting the better of him.
Yeah, but Kenta, I think, is clearly going to be set to be the. I think he's going to win probably. Yeah. He seems like probably set up to be the ace of the brand. He's by far the biggest star. So, the second match for also all these matches obviously are first round matches. Jeff Cobb and Tonga Loa. I saw people praising this match. I don't really get it. It wasn't very good. It was just very dull to me. A lot of slow brawling. A rest hold from Loa right after the 5-minute mark when nothing much had happened. Cobb finally hits like a big power slam that looked nice, but then Tonga Loa just completely overshoots Cobb on a sunset flip, which ended up looking pretty stupid. His drop kick looked okay, but he went for ape shit, and then Cobb came back with a nice-looking snap German and then tore the eyelids for the pin. I just thought this match was nothing until the very end, and even then, there was a botch. So, I don't know. I went like 1.5. I just didn't think it was good.
I don't know. I liked it. I guess I had like low expectations going in. You're like, I did subtract marks. It's sort of like when Loa went into like control mode and stuff, then I have like like in my notes, but I thought the ending was fine, and it's perfectly passable like TV match.
I should mention, by the way, the opener was 9:59 and the second match was 8:45. I usually give out the match times and I just totally forgot. Match 3, David Finlay defeating Chase Owens in the New Japan Cup first round in 9:46 with the Prima Nocta. I didn't really think much of this one either. Chase started out with a lot of cheating, as you probably expect. He controlled a lot of this match, and which wasn't very exciting because he doesn't exactly have fantastic offense. Finlay came back with a pair of European uppercuts, one for the middle rope, which got a 2 count, and then he finally hit the Prima Nocta, which is that like the acid drop, I guess, for the pin. Very nothing match. I would go like 2.25. I don't know, below average.
Talk about rest holds. If you're going to single out Tonga Loa, you got to also mention Chase Owens' liberal use of them early on in this match. I thought the last couple minutes were fine, but it was a snore fest before.
Yeah.
Really.
Match number 4, the main event, Tama Tonga beating Brody King in 7:14 with the gun stun. I'm a little surprised it was that short. This was like my big surprise of the show. I thought this was pretty damn good. Brody was this big house of fire early and just like sent clean-shaven Tama, like straight up in the air and then down for like crushing him with a huge senton. Tama got some offense after getting dominated early, but when he tried his stinger splash, Brody just catches him in midair and just overhead belly-to-belly suplexes him right into the turnbuckle, which looked brutal. He followed up with a big clothesline and then ran him into the other corner, hit a huge standing lariat for a 2 count. Tama came back but got dropped right on his head by Brody with a German suplex and then a huge lariat, but Tama kicked out at 2. And this is I just wrote here, that's pretty damn good. I mean, I like this a lot. He came back with the Tongan twist and then hit the gun stun and covered. He got the pin. I mean, I honestly would have liked to see him go a few more minutes. I thought it was, my big surprise of the night. I went 3.5 stars on it.
Also, my match of the night. I think, that was my initial reaction, but I think one of the problems with Tama Tonga singles matches is that if they start to go too long, then he runs out of things to do. So this was the shortest match of 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that sort of played a role in how much I really like that, because, I mean, how many more moves did Tama Tonga have that he could have done if this match had gone on any longer, honestly? But, I mean, it was still great for what it was, and Brody King looked great.
Yeah, so definitely a good main event here. A good way to close the show. I mean, overall, it was a fun show, only an hour long. Yeah. Two matches I didn't love, but 2 that I thought were pretty damn good. And I definitely am going to keep watching the tournament. So next week, it's Jeff Cobb versus Kenta and David Finlay versus Tama Tonga in the semifinals. Plus, quote, a pair of great tag team matches. Do we know what those are yet? Let me see.
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm just going to double check real fast and check. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an easy watch. No, we do not know what those are yet. You're right. But yeah, that'll be next week, and we'll definitely cover it. We'll continue covering it here on Wrestling Omakase. So let's move over to Japan now for NJPW, the Summer Struggle Tour, rolling on with the NEVER Openweight 6-man title tournament. It was 4 straight days at Korakuen. You have the 2 first-round matches on Thursday and Friday, the semifinals on Saturday, and the final on Sunday. We'll go in order, obviously. I'm going to start with the main events for these and work my way down, since the main events were a lot more important than these undercard matches that really weren't much of anything. So that begins then on Thursday at Korakuen Hall, which had the first 2 first-round matches. The main event was Shingo Takagi, Sanada, and Bushi beating the Suzuki-gun team of Minoru Suzuki, El Desperado, and Doki. Sanada using the skull end on Doki in 13:37 to advance in the tournament. Of course, LIJ were the champions before they vacated the titles. It was Shingo, Bushi, and Evil. So I think people kind of thought they would at least get past the first round, which makes sense. Suzuki-gun jumped LIJ right at the bell, and Suzuki ran right at Shingo, which, was kind of interesting given all the speculation that he might be Shingo's next Never challenger, and that turned out to be the case. As he'd make more, he'd say that pretty much at the end of the match. There was a big Shingo-Suzuki exchange that was really fun, with both guys really trading a lot of blows, and Suzuki countering Shingo's attempts at power moves with all these different sleepers before Shingo finally hits a front suplex to end it. And they had another great sequence towards the end of it with Suzuki really going after Shingo hard with elbows. We get this big running sequence with Suzuki going for the sleeper and Shingo eventually getting the pumping bomber on him. Bushi hits a run to the floor on Despy. Sanada gets the skull end on Doki, but he almost rolls him up for the pin. It was a great little near fall. And then he gets another really even better near fall on a crucifix cradle. It looked even better. And then finally Sanada put him away after a really fun little exchange between 2 guys who, Sanada and Doki, not the most beloved members of the roster, but I thought they had a great little exchange there. I actually like them both, so I don't know. I disagree with the rep, I guess. But yeah, this match was a blast, I thought, especially the Shingo Suzuki exchanges, which really bodes well for a future Never title match. I went 3 3/4. Really good little main event here. What'd you think?
I went 3.5. It's funny, the first thing I've written in my notes says Shingo versus Suzuki. That was awesome, and this was a really good match, and I think my match of the night actually on this show.
So afterwards, Suzuki goes after the Never singles belt and makes it even more obvious, pointing at it. So there we go. That could be that. It obviously will be the Never title match for Jingu. Probably, maybe some kind of blast match they're talking about, so we'll see. Are you excited for maybe a blast match at Jingu?
Yeah, I think so. Especially against those two, they will sell it well. I don't think you could just throw any two even decent or good members of the New Japan roster into a blast match and it would work. But for these guys, it would.
Yeah. The semi-main event was the other Never Openweight six-man title tournament first-round match on this show. Unfortunately, this one was nowhere near as good as the other one. Kazuchika Okada, Toru Yano, and Sho defeating Yujiro Takahashi, Gedo, and Jado in 12:03. Sho submitting Jado with what they're calling a double wrist lock. Is that just a Kimura? Looks like a Kimura to me when he does it. I don't know.
I don't know. Is that what they have on the New Japan?
Yeah, they have a double wrist lock. Well, whatever. First of all, I have to say, Jado did walk out like positively briskly compared to some of his recent run-ins. I was like, did he like get a massage or something? I don't understand.
Maybe he's got some stem cells in those knees or something.
So Okada and Yujiro started, and Okada gave him a clean break, but then had to briefly sell for Gedo and Jado attacking him from behind, which is kind of funny, just watching him sell for those two. But then he quickly took out all three of them, of course. The Okada-Yujiro exchange that followed was just as boring as they've all been throughout this terrible feud. 0 people clapping when Yujiro briefly took down Okada, because unlike every other heel in the company, 0 people are Yujiro fans. It is pretty funny. We get like a long comedy exchange with Yano and Gedo, and your enjoyment of that will probably vary. I honestly think no one in New Japan loses more from the clapping crowds than Yano. Like, his comedy just feels way more flat without anyone to laugh or cheer. And I usually like him, but, I don't know, just something... He really loses a lot in these crowds. The stuff with him and Gato's beard was kind of funny, I guess, but the turnbuckle stuff, kind of played out at this point. Jado, honestly, just like I say, he moved better in this match than he's looked in months. I'm not sure what's up with that, but he wasn't good, but definitely an improvement from how he looked, going back to the New Japan Cup. But Sho speared him and put him in the Kimura to thankfully put this match out of its misery. It wasn't as bad as it could have been, I guess, but it wasn't good either. I would go 2 stars flat on it.
Yeah, this was probably also the worst match of the tournament. I don't know. I mean, I get it. It's not like I'm offended. This is horrible. Fuck New Japan or anything like that. Although I would say you could have shaved 2-3 minutes off of this. Come on.
Yeah, for sure.
It's only a first round match. It can go 9 minutes.
Match number 4 is Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and Yoshinobu Kanemaru from Suzuki-gun defeating Tanahashi, Ibushi, and Yuya Uemura. Kanemaru pinning Uemura with the deep impact of 927. A preview for the following night's tournament match, because we just had Uemura in there instead of Wato. But, this was pretty fun. Uemura got to run wild early, and he fought off all 3 Suzuki-gun members by himself. But then when Tanahashi asked to be tagged in, he immediately gets cut off by Taichi and Zack in the corner and just taken apart, with Zack, especially going after his knee. So it continues the storyline that he's a weak link right, at the moment. Uemura came in to save Tanahashi and finally tagged in Ibushi, who cleaned house on Taichi and Zack. Uemura got another hot tag from Ibushi and just looked awesome in this match, I thought. Tanahashi ends up alone against all 3 members of Suzuki-gun and briefly holds his own before they go after his knee again to stop him. There's actually a little tiny botch here where Zack went to kick his knee and he didn't notice it at first, which was kind of funny. But yeah, Kanemaru eventually hits deep impact on Uemura for the win. Fun 6-man, some really energetic stuff out of Uemura and Ibushi. I went 3 1/4. But the big news obviously was the continuation of the Tanahashi and Kota storyline, where they all were stepping on Tanahashi after the match, and Kota was in no rush to go save him. Just looked extremely frustrated on the floor. He finally rolls in very slowly, and then also gets attacked by ZSJ and Taichi. And they held Tana up and told Kota to go ahead and hit the Kamigoe on him, which is pretty funny. And he actually looked like he was thinking about it, but they finally attacked him before he made any decision to either attack or save Tana, and then tossed him out of the ring. So I really enjoyed this storyline, and I enjoyed this match.
I went 3 1/2 here. I love this. I thought Uemura was awesome. In fact, he's been the highlight of all 4 shows for me, actually. Him and Gabriel Kidd just are really standing out right now. And the story was great. Just a perfect little like quick 9-minute 6-man that managed to tell a great story. So, I mean, that's pro wrestling at its most simple but best, I think.
Match number 3, another little preview for the following day. It was Goto, Ishii, and Yoshihashi beating Makabe, Honma, and Kojima. Just had Kojima in there instead of Taguchi, I believe. And Goto pinned Makabe in 9-12 with the Goto Nishiki, that wacky cradle of his. So this was, it was pretty fun. It was, I'd say, like 3 stars. Not a ton to say about it, but it was interesting that Makabe took the pin when Honma was right there. It's not like either guy is really doing anything right now, but maybe they're going to build up to something with Goto and Makabe. But yeah, there was some good action here, especially with Ishii and Kojima.
Yeah, another fun match. I have in my notes, does Goto pinning Makabe mean anything? But as of right now, I don't think that means anything. I don't know. Just mix it up, I guess. I don't know. But otherwise, yeah, it was a fun little thing. And I had wished maybe Kojima also looked awesome here, sort of set the tone for how things would turn out for him over the next couple of nights.
Match 2 was Master Wato and his apparent mentor, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, defeating Ryusuke Taguchi and Yota Tsuji, 9:54. Wato pinning Tsuji with the RPP. Basic little tag match here, but Wato and Tsuji had some decent exchanges. I went 2 3/4 on this one.
I haven't. Let's see what I have written here. Okay, I thought Tsuji looked like the best out of all 4 guys here.
He had a great weekend in general.
Yeah, he also, all the young lions did, I should say. I forgot about Tsuji. But I also thought Wato didn't do much, although the ending was fine with him. It was decent. But otherwise, he was sort of regrettable in this.
Yuji Nagata in the opener beat Gabriel Kidd in 8-12 with the Nagata Lock 2. This was a really fun opener, I thought. Like, Nagata really took it to Kidd. Kidd looked great. This was really about as good as one of those young lion versus veteran matches could be. I went 3.5.
Yeah, I also went 3.5, and like Kidd was super aggressive early on. Doesn't he like run right up to? He ran right up to Nagata with the bell and just like clocked him, right?
Yeah, I mean he's been super aggressive against everybody, so it's been fun.
Yeah, I went 3.5. It was awesome, great build. It felt like it was longer than 8 minutes, but I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah,
like they just packed in a lot of stuff in that 8 minutes, and it was awesome.
So overall, a very good start to the weekend, I thought.
Yeah.
The second show was on Friday the 7th with the other half of the Never Openweight 6-man title tournament first round. The main event was Tanahashi, Ibushi, and Master Wato beating the Suzuki-gun team of Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and Kanemaru. Tanahashi actually getting the pin on Taichi in 16:53. They called it a double leg Nelson. I think it was like almost like a sunset flip, it looked like to me. But or not sunset flip, but like a front cradle or something. I don't know. It was a roll up. Everybody can never keep track of the roll up names. But yeah, it started out with Taichi and Kanemaru immediately teaming up to put old man Tanahashi down yet again. And Taichi gave him like an enziguri, and Tanahashi just collapsed. I mean, he's selling it all throughout this entire angle, where it can't be an easy angle for you. Where you have to be you're basically told, go out there and look like you're fucking dying, or look like shit. It can't be an easy thing to play, but he's doing a really good job. Zack then tagged in and continued like punishing Tanahashi's leg, as he's been doing for weeks now. Ibushi on the apron seemed to refuse to come in to help him, which continued that kind of storyline there. Tanahashi finally went for the tag, only to get dropped by Taichi's dangerous backdrop, so he couldn't quite get it. They just keep playing with him, and they seem to invite Ibushi in the ring to hit Kamigoe on him again, just like they did at the end of the match on the previous day. But Ibushi pushes him away, and then he starts lifting him up like he's going to do it anyway, but then he turns and nails Taichi and Zack instead. And then he screams for Tanahashi to make the tag, which he finally does, and Ibushi runs wild on both guys. After that, we got like a Wato Kanemaru exchange I would say was just okay. And then Tanahashi finally tags back in. He cleans house on Kanemaru and hits a double crossbody to both dangerous techers standing on the apron. He calls in Ibushi, and the two of them finally do some double team moves on Kanemaru. Wato hits his big spinning dive to the floor to look pretty good. And then Tana goes for the high fly flow and Kanemaru, but the heel master gets his knees up. He tags out to Taichi, hits an axe bomber on Tana for 2, and then a last ride power bomb. But Ibushi and Wato dive in to save him just as we hit the 15-minute mark. Kota tries to fight off both dangerous techers by himself, but it doesn't go too well for him. And then Taichi and Zack just start like brutalizing Tanahashi again, just like they did at Dominion, with Zack giving him the standing dragon screw, with Taichi holding him up. So you think like they're gonna, beat him again. But then Taichi gives him a super kick. They pick Tanahashi up and go for the Zack Mephisto combo. Just like, they have such great double team names. But yeah, it's just a Black Mephisto with Zack doing a super kick. But Ibushi runs in to save Tanahashi, hits a high kick on Taichi to the face, and then Tanahashi rolls through into that cradle and gets the pin. It's a really cool finish, I thought, because Tanahashi gets the pinfall, which would make he and Ibushi in line for a tag title rematch now. But it still feels kind of like a fluke, and like that Ibushi carried Tana, so they're not abandoning that Tanahashi is a weakling storyline either. I mean, backstage he tells Ibushi, you have to be God now. Just very... I mean, the entire thing, people are like, well, is Ibushi going to turn heel? Maybe the entire point of the thing was just to make, Kota Ibushi... make it clear that Ibushi's at a higher level than Tanahashi now, and he's, going to be the top babyface for Hantai. But yeah, Zack went after Tanahashi to rage after the match, so the tag title match definitely looks like it's on for Jingu. It was a good main event. I actually liked the previous day slightly better, but this was a lot of fun and continued a really interesting storyline. I would go 3.5.
I think I like this one better than the day's previous main event. I thought Tanahashi actually was awesome here, just getting beat up. I think this is where the no yelling does hurt, because you know that people would be screaming like Tanahashi. He's getting his they're trying to rip his legs out of their sockets and everything. Although I would say, given how banged up Tanahashi's knees are looking, he's got to stop doing the high fly flow. He did it almost every show, or at least attempted to.
Yeah,
back, buddy.
Yeah, he's really got to stop doing it. I agree. The semi-main was the other first-round match on this show. Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, and Yoshihashi defeating Makabe, Honma, and Taguchi in 11:53. Yoshihashi submits Honma with the butterfly lock to advance to semifinals. Makabe and Honma, double-teamed their old GBH deserter Ishii early on, and then they attempt to do the same thing to Yoshihashi. But Goto tried to run in, but Taguchi came in to make it 3-on-2 and attacked them with his butt, as usual. We then get the double Kokeshi from Taguchi and Honma, including this really wacky wobbling from the Gooch before he went down on him, which is kind of funny. Goto and Yoshihashi used a double reverse GTR on Honma to set up Yoshihashi, putting him in that stupid butterfly lock, and that gets the tap out. This was fine, maybe a little disappointing. I don't know. I went 3 stars.
Yeah, same. It was fine. It was a perfectly serviceable, standard insert ingredients, and then you'll have your New Japan 6-man tag type thing, right?
Yeah.
Very basic, but it's technically a pretty fine match.
Match 4, it was interesting that Naito and Evil had half these shows off. They only worked Friday and Sunday, which I know they try to give Naito days off and stuff because, his body's
about to die.
He's about to die. The LIJ team of Naito, Shingo Takagi, Sonata, and Bushi defeated the Bullet Club, Evil, Dick Togo, Taiji Ishimori, and Gato. Sonata submitting Gato in 13:26 with the skull end. Naito pointed out afterwards that this was the first loss for an Evil team since he joined Bullet Club, so they stopped his momentum, as he said. But yeah, this is LIJ of all people. I really get annoyed sometimes when they get these pre-match attacks for the bell. It's you guys used to do this to everybody. You should, and still do it sometimes. You should be prepared for somebody to attack you before the bell. Also, was Bushi wearing an Ava Unit 1 tribute mask during this? The color's perfect. I was what the fuck is this mask? He just Marathon Evangelion. I don't know if you noticed that, but it's purple and green. I'm what the fuck else is purple and green? Anyway, we get a heat segment on Bushi for a while before he makes his own comeback on both Gato and Dick Togo, and then finally tags in Naito. Evil, tags on the other side with a big showdown. Naito just beats the crap out of Evil. Great aggression here for all the people who say it doesn't show aggression or anger or whatever. He shoves the ref down when he tries to stop him from stomping in the corner. They end up in a big forearm exchange, which Naito wins, but Evil grabs his hair to stop him from hitting Gloria. Naito comes back with an enziguri, but Evil rams him backward into the exposed corner when he tries for Gloria again, and finally tags out to Ishimori. We get the kind of standard everybody runs in and hits their move sequence. Naito and Evil are the standouts here. Naito tries this huge flying forearm that we don't really see him even attempt that often anymore. I thought it was interesting that he did it in an 8-man tag here at Korakuen. Evil sidesteps it, just like I've seen Ishii do repeatedly in the Naito Ishii series over on the Patreon. But he drops him on his head with a German suplex. Again, kind of a sick bump to take here in a random 8-man tag. But Naito gets right back up and no-sells it. Hits a huge swinging DDT off the ropes. Looked pretty cool. Gato and Jado try to cheat their way to victory. They try to interfere on Sonata. That doesn't go well for them, though. And then Sonata sets Gato up on the top rope and basically kicks him away, or kicks the rope into him, which sends his brass knuckles flying, and then he submits him with the skull end. Afterwards, Naito and Evil are grabbing each other's hair on the floor, and Evil's saying "Asenneo, Naito, Asenneo," which I thought was kind of funny. But yeah, I'm definitely into that feud. I know some people aren't, but I think it was pretty. This was pretty good. Good action. Good Naito Evil exchanges. They were pretty heated. I went 3 1/4.
You're right. I thought Evil showed a lot of intensity here. The only thing though, in this match that really stuck out to me was the Evil versus Naito stuff. The rest was sort of just kind of there for me. I don't know, but I mean, it was still good, and I agree with you that Evil versus Naito, I think has. But I mean, that's all that really matters, right? The whole point is you're trying to build heat for your main event, and I think they did that here very well. Although I think you probably could have cut off 2 minutes, especially when things are so storyline driven in a match like this.
Match number 3 was Okada, Toru Yano, and Sho beating Suzuki, Desperado, and Doki. Sho submitting Doki with the... Here they call it the arm lock crosshold. Will the fucking English site oh, that's a cross arm breaker. Never mind. I thought they came up with another name for the Kimura. But yes, Sho submitting Doki in 9:16 with a cross arm breaker. This was a weird match since the two sides have no real beef, but Okada and Suzuki got all up in each other's faces, presumably just for old time's sake. It was nice to see Okada get to wrestle somebody other than Yujiro or Gato for a change. Sho and Doki had a nice little exchange at the end, and Sho tapped out Doki with the cross arm breaker, continuing his recent submission tear. I thought Doki was a quiet MVP on these shows. Not he was one of the best wrestlers in the world or anything, but he was involved in a lot of finishing sequences because he was losing them all, and I thought he was pretty damn good on all of them. He's come a long way since he first showed up in New Japan. But good little match here. I went 3 1/4. I thought this was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I thought it was sort of nothing except until the end, the last couple minutes, and I liked the Sho versus Doki stuff, but didn't really capture my attention other than that.
Okay. But that probably was my favorite part too, so I guess we're in alignment there. And that goofball Okada got way too into clapping to Sho's theme at the end, and even Sho looked vaguely horrified while he was trying to smile through it. Thought that was funny. Match number 2, Tenkoji, a rare team up lately since Tenzan's been so busy with his Master Wato, Master Wato adventures. They beat Gabriel Kidd and Yota Tsuji in 8:52. Kojima pinning Tsuji with a lariat. This is a very standard tag team match. The Young Lions showed some good fire. I went 2 3/4. It was pretty good.
I really like this.
Oh.
I went 3 1/4. I thought it was a lot of fun. I love the part when Tsuji and Kid had Kojima in the corner and they were chopping him. That was awesome. And this was when I was like, oh damn, Tsuji's really improved, because I wasn't necessarily watching all of the undercards and stuff during the New Japan Cup. So this was a real pleasant surprise, but I'm also a huge Tenkoji mark, so I gotta give it some good marks.
The opener was Yuji Nagata beating Yuya Uemura in 8:06 with the Nagata Lock 2. I was kind of disappointed by this. It seemed like Nagata was moving a little slower than yesterday's match with Kid. I mean, he's old, I guess. What are you going to do? There was a great spot where they both fought over like a belly-to-belly suplex before Uehara finally got his double underhook belly-to-belly. I really hope he keeps that move even after he comes back from his excursion in like 5 fucking years at this point. But Nagata, tapped him out with the Nagata Lock 2. Like I said, a fun little match, but I just thought after the Kid match yesterday was so good, I thought this would be better, and, it was like 3 stars.
Yeah, I went 3 stars too. I would say the Kid match was better. I agree with you on the belly-to-belly spot, but there was also a great spot where Nagata was beating Yumura up, and then it like built to like that sort of drop kick of hope type thing that was like sort of really fun too. But just I probably would say it was just a notch below the Kid match. Maybe what we think the gulf is different, but yeah.
So that's it for this show. I didn't like this one as much as the first show. It was fine, but definitely could have been better.
Yeah, but I mean, 4 straight Korakuens with the roster of that, what it being is what it is. You're going to get something, but I mean, it still wasn't bad.
Yeah. The third night on August 8th on Saturday, we had the semifinals for the NEVER Openweight 6-man tournament. The main event was the team of Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, and Yoshihashi defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kota Ibushi, and Master Wato, and Yoshihashi pinning Master Wato in 17-11 with the Karma. This was awesome. I mean, this was just a really good match. This started out with, we started out with the Hontai team cleaning house on Chaos. Wato tagged in and tried to do some karate against Goto, but it didn't go too well for him as Goto kind of shrugged off his little karate moves and hit him with a big shoulder block to put him down. We got a big Ibushi and Ishii exchange for old time's sake. Ibushi puts him down and hits a standing moonsault. He drops Ishii right on his head with a German suplex, but Ishii no-sold it and hit a big power slam before tagging out to Goto. Goto and Yoshihashi ended up double-teaming Tanahashi, who once again seemed to be the weak link of his team. Goto hit a reverse GTR on Tana and went for the front version, but Tana came back with a kind of weak-looking twist and shout, but then his second one looked a lot better. Hit a big slap to the face and tried for Sling Blade, but Goto catches him, just holding onto his arms. And then Ibushi, catches him and lifts him up under his arms. Was going for Usigoroshi. Ibushi saved him with a high kick to Goto into the crucifix pin attempt. It was a great little flash pin attempt there that almost got the job done, but Ishii made the save. Tanahashi and Kota recovered, hit a double team Golden Blade, but Goto rolls out of the way of the high fly flow, which, like you said, he attempted on every fucking show. Yoshihashi and Wato tagged in, and we got the big showdown of immortals here. Yoshihashi and Master Wato. Yoshi took control of this kind of dumb-looking neckbreaker thing. Ibushi tried to come in, but Ishii took him out with a German suplex from behind. He and Yoshihashi double-teamed Wato, and finally, this Titan met his match here at the hands of Ishii and Yoshihashi. Yoshihashi hit a big running sit-up powerbomb. That actually looked pretty cool. I'm like, why don't you do that move more often, buddy? So much of your offense looks stupid, and that actually looks cool. But Wato kicked out at 2. Yoshi followed up with an Axe Bomber, but Wato kicked out at 2 again. Everybody came in one after another, and Ibushi and Tana are able to get back on the same page for a missile dropkick with Tana holding Ishii. I'll be honest, I thought he was going to move and Ibushi was going to hit Tana to continue that storyline, but, didn't happen. Tana held Yoshihashi for a double high kick from Wato and Ibushi. That actually looked pretty cool. And then Wato headed up and went for his RPP, that, twisting senton thing he does, but Yoshihashi rolled out of the way. Wato recovered, hit a spinning kick, and then some kind of weird arm hook driver thing. Do you know what that thing is called? I have no idea what to call that move he did. It looks
I don't know either.
It looked almost like Saki Akai's finisher. It was very, why we're stealing finishers from Saki Akai now, I guess. But yeah, Yoshihashi kicked out at 2 again. Wato hit a nice high kick, but Goto ran in and saved the day as we get a double team Ushigoroshi and a super kick from Yoshihashi, or with a super kick from Yoshihashi, I should say. A sliding forearm from Ishii, and a double knees from Yoshihashi for a 2 count. Yoshi hit Karma on Wato and finally gets the pin. So there you go. This was an awesome main event. Yoshihashi and Wato, they're 2 guys who get a lot of hate, a lot of shit, but they both brought it here. They had a great closing stretch. I went back and forth, but I decided to say fuck it and go... no, I didn't decide to fuck it. I decided to say fuck it and go 4 stars flat. There you go. I did not fuck the match.
I went 3 3/4. This might be my match of the tournament. I think this is my match of the tournament.
Yeah, it's definitely mine too.
Wato looked great here, and I think whatever you think of him, I think he's going to grow into the gimmick and improve. I mean, he's already shown improvement over the course of these shows, and this was probably the best performance I've seen since he triumphantly returned to New Japan. So yeah, I mean, it was awesome.
So there you go. That was a really awesome main event. And Ibushi got in Ishii's face for the match. He chopped him a few times, and I'm like, yes, please give me Ibushi Ishii randomly. I would love it. I'm like, I don't know if they're only shooting their own angle or what, but... I mean, Ishii and Yoshihashi could probably come after the tag titles if Tanahashi and Ibushi were to win them back. That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. The semi-final was the other NEVER Openweight 6-man title tournament. Semi-final, actually. And Okada, Toru Yano, and Sho defeated Shingo, Bushi, and Sanada in 13:07 by count out. Bushi got counted out when he got tied to the railing on the outside. I was wondering why the fuck this wasn't the main event, because on paper, I feel like Chaos vs. LIJ is a bigger match, but especially with Okada in there. But, given this fucking finish, I get why it wasn't the main event, because this would be a pretty stupid finish to end the show with. Get some nice grappling with Sho and Sanada to start. 2 guys that can definitely hold their own on the mat, and I like their exchange a lot. Ended with a bit of a stalemate. Yano and Bushi tagged in, and they exchanged roll-ups, and Yano somewhat comedically spotted Shingo trying to pull him from out of the ring, but that just gave Bushi the chance to roll him up again for another 2 count. They both tagged out to Okada and Shingo, which is what people obviously wanted to see. I really hope they meet in the G1 this year, because I feel like they could have a really awesome match, which we haven't seen yet as far as a singles match. But we get the big clean break from Okada, which of course pisses Shingo off. But Shingo wins the resulting shoulder block battle. Bushi and Sanada help Shingo take control, just as we hit the 5-minute mark. There's some more chin locking from Shingo, and then Bushi on Okada that isn't terribly exciting. Sho and Sanada tag back in, have another really fun exchange, and I think we're going to get that singles match in the KOPW, it sounds like, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. Sho ends up getting the better of it and nearly tapping him out with an armbar, but Sanada makes the ropes. We got a big Bushi and Yano roll-up exchange sequence. Bushi kind of trips on the bottom rope on a dive, which I don't think he was trying to do, but Yano was moving out of the way anyway, so whatever. It's a good time to have a botch, I guess, when you're not supposed to hit the guy anyway. Yano got the win by tying Bushi's mask to the barricade and taking the count out. An annoyingly stupid finish to what had been a pretty damn good match by then. It was enough to take it down to 3 1/4 for me, but the Sanada Sho stuff was awesome, and I look forward to the singles match.
Yeah, I thought it was just okay. It was a little slow to start, I thought, and I didn't like the finish either. I think getting counted out, even though the way they did it, because it is a 6-man tag, seems somewhat preposterous to me. How do you get counted out when you have multiple teammates? It's just, I don't know. It sort of bothers me, I guess.
Match number 4 was another 6-man tag, not in the tournament though. It was Suzuki-gun losing here. Minoru Suzuki, Desperado, and Doki losing to Tenzan, Kojima, and Taguchi. Kojima pinning Doki at 9:37 with a lariat. All action, a lot of fun before Kojima got the pin. I didn't take a lot of notes on it, but I went 3 1/4. I thought it was quite a bit of fun.
Yeah, I just give it high marks because Kojima actually won a match.
And Taguchi afterwards got a bonus armbar tap out on Desperado on the floor for some reason. I was like, what the fuck is up with that? Why we have Desperado tapping out to Taguchi on the floor. Suzuki
especially since you're building to like another Desperado match
with Kojima, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Suzuki just leaves. He's like, I don't give a shit about any of this. I'll go for Shingo. I thought it was kind of funny. But yes, afterwards, Kojima announced his intention to compete in the KOPW 2020, but Desperado got offended on behalf of Stan Hansen. Just thought it was kind of funny. I'm like, okay. So I guess that's going to be a first round match. I think we can say we know 3 of them, right? You say Okada Yujiro, Sonata Sho, and Despi Kojima.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, so we were just missing the 4th one. So it's interesting. I mean, I'm definitely, Okada Yujiro will fucking suck again probably, but the other 2, I mean, I'd be pretty surprised if those 2 aren't pretty damn good matches. So I want to see what the 4th one is.
Well, I mean, this might sound crazy, but if you're bringing in shenanigans to the Okada Yujiro match, it might actually turn out to be better than their just like standard singles match.
Yeah,
depending on how it's booked.
That's a good point.
It could also be even worse, right? But if anything, you could use the stip to cover it up, right?
Well, you heard what the 2 steps are going to be, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't...
Which don't exactly sound the best, but I don't know.
I mean, people like, in Slack were freaking out and like, those steps sound terrible. I'm like, it's Okada Yujiro. I mean, like, what are they going to do? Make it... It can't get much worse. I mean, what's the big deal?
Honestly, I would probably take the handicap match over the lumberjack match.
Yeah.
Because lumberjack matches suck.
Yeah, I agree. So between matches 3 and 4, we got the updated full schedule for G1 Climax 30. It is 19 shows. I wrote down the locations here. It's a little interesting. It starts out with 2 days at Adion Arena, Osaka, 2 days in Sapporo, so that is a lot of travel.
Going to Hokkaido, is Hokkaido still a hot spot?
I don't think it is to the same degree, but I could be wrong. 1 day in Kobe, 2 days in Korakuen, 1 day in Aori Nagaoka, which is frequently the New Japan Cup final. It's also in Sonata's hometown in Niigata, or home prefecture of Niigata. So I assume Sonata will be in the main event of that one again, probably. 1 day in Takamatsu, 2 days in Hiroshima, which I can't remember the last time they did 2 days in Hiroshima. It's usually a one day stop. 1 day in Okayama, another day back in Osaka, and these are all at the Adion Arena. 1 day in Nagoya, the same place they just had the Sengoku Lord, the Dolphins Arena. 1 day in Hamamatsu. 1 day at the brand new Yokohama Budokan, so that'll be the first New Japan show there, I assume. And 3 final days at Sumo Hall, which at least puts to rest the speculation that the pro wrestling companies can't book Sumo Hall during this, so that is going to happen still.
But those last 3 days for Sumo Hall, they're in October, right?
Yeah. I think they're the same.
The canceled Sumo Halls for Noah and DDT were in November, though, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
I think the Sumo Hall dates are still the same. I
thought someone said something about Sumo in November, and they wanted to protect the building just in case or something, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Sumo Hall dates are still the same, because that's when I was going to, I still have a fucking flight there that I have to cancel shortly, but I think that's the same dates I already had planned on going. But yeah, the G1 is supposed to kick off September 19th, so it was exactly 6 weeks from this show on August 8th. So, we'll see. Hopefully it happens. Match number 3 was the Suzuki-gun team of Taichi, Zack Sabre Jr., and Yoshinobu Kanemaru, beating Togi Makabe, Tomoyaki Honma, and Yuji Nagata in 10:34. Taichi submitting Honma with the stretch plum. This was alright, I guess. Nagata cleaned house early, really took it to Kanemaru. Zack came in to cut him off, and Nagata came back with an exploder. That whole exchange was pretty fun. Honma tagged in, and that part was not fun. He tried his best, but didn't look like he was having a good day. And Taichi submitted him with the stretch plum. The stuff before, like I said, Honma got in the ring was fun. Most of it with Honma in there was not really, so I went like 2 3/4.
I went Gentleman's 3. It was fine. Then Honma came in, yeah. But, Taichi wins the stretch plum, and everyone goes home happy, so it was fine.
Match number 2, Yujiro Takahashi and Gedo defeating Yota Tsuji and Gabriel Kidd. Yujiro pinning Gabriel Kidd with the Pimp Juice in 7:51. This was probably my biggest gap with fucking grapple when I was filling this out. I thought this was fine. I mean, I like the Young Lions kept things at a certain level of excitement, even with Yujiro and Gedo in there. It just, I went 2 3/4. It's not like I loved it or anything, but like grapple hated it. Like it seemed like they were rating it like 1.5, 1 3/4, 2 stars. So I don't know, where are you closer to me or close to grapple?
Well, I went 2. It was meh. Although like Kid and Tsuji looked good, but I just couldn't get me over the hump to any more than 2. And I'm not even like, oh fuck, Yujiro's on my screen or something. Like, I don't hate him. I'm not saying he's good, but this just didn't do anything for me.
The opener was Yuya Uemura losing to Taiji Ishimori, of course, in 8-13 with the yes lock. This was pretty damn good. I mean, this was I thought this was better than their Dominion match or New Japan Cup final, or where the fuck they had that match in Osaka. But yeah, Uemura started off really hot. Taiji cut him off pretty quick on the floor. This match was just really like a lot of fun stuff, and Uemura just got the kick out of everything before finally tapping out to the yes lock, and just some really great action. I went 3.5. I thought this was like better than the last match, like I said, from Osaka, and just a great deal of fun.
Yeah, I went 3 1/4. I thought the timing of Uemura's spots were great. Like, oh, is this guy going to do it? He got a lot of offense, and I thought Taiji's jumping knee looked cool.
Yeah, for sure. Why the fuck did Ishimori scene suddenly cut to ELPs for a second? Was it like just to remind us that ELP exists?
Or someone put in their tag team trackers?
Oh yeah, it was very weird. But yeah, that's it for that show. Awesome main event. So definitely a good show overall when you have a 4-star main event at a Korakuen. So, the final night of the Korakuens here was the Summer Struggle, August 9th, from earlier today on Sunday. The main event here was the finals in the Never Openweight 6-man tag team tournament, the Big Chaos Showdown. Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, and Yoshihashi defeating Kazuchika Okada, Toru Yano, and Sho. Ishii pinning Sho in 24-18 with the vertical drop brainbuster to become the 21st Never Openweight 6-man champions. First of all, I have to say, as I just tweeted it, but like Yoshihashi not even being involved in the finish to win his first championship after 8.5 fucking years is the greatest. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I don't know if you disagree with me on that, but that is exactly how it should have been.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So we start out with Okada and Yoshihashi. The Wrestle Kingdom 6 rematch is finally here. All 3 guys end up pounding on Yoshihashi, which is very nice of them, before Sho tags in. Okada just clearly fears Yoshihashi, did not want any part of him. We get a heat segment on Sho with Goto, and then Ishii just beating his ass. Sho keeps trying to fight back on Ishii, only to get put down with the chop and elbow combo, as he really gives it to him there. It goes on for quite a while. Sho finally reverses a Goto suplex and looks to finally make the tag before Ishii and Yoshihashi run over to take out Okada and Yano. Sho double spears them and then finally makes the hot tag to Toru Yano, which is a little weird. His whole hot tag is basically taking the turnbuckle pad off, nearly rolling up Goto, and then immediately getting cut off by Yoshihashi when he tried to do his hang onto the ropes thing and getting hit with a backdrop suplex and lariat by Goto. So I guess you can't call it formulaic at least, but it was a bizarre hot tag after how long Sho got worked over. Yano tags in Okada, who has finally worked up the courage to face Yoshihashi again. They have a pretty tepid elbow exchange, with which Yoshihashi at least ends with a hard chop before Okada wipes him out with a running back elbow. We get your standard big, like everybody runs in and hits moves on each other exchange. Isn't really anything too exciting, honestly. Yoshihashi ends up by hitting an OK super kick on Okada. Okada comes back and gets that stupid-ass money clip locked in on him, which manages to look even worse than usual because of Yoshi's kind of bad selling. But Ishii makes the save after probably way too long, given that it's Yoshihashi. Okada sets him up for the Rainmaker, and he hits the short arm lariat just as we get the 15-minute call. He goes for a second one, but Yoshi suddenly answers with his own short-range lariat. So that spot was at least awesome. Finally, the only good part, really, this Okada-Yoshihashi exchange. He followed up with an Axe Bomber for a 2 count, and then locked in the stupid butterfly lock, but Okada made it to the ropes finally after a long struggle in that very dumb hold. We end up with Sho and Ishii, and this is where the match really picks up. Sho tries a spear, Ishii blocks and it's a big suplex. Sho no-sells and gets the spear after all. Yano comes in to help, and it leads to a really close near fall for Sho on Ishii with a German suplex hold. Sho starts nailing Ishii with some really hard kicks, but he comes back with a power bomb for a near fall just as we hit the 20-minute mark. And that, like I said, thankfully this got pretty good now. Sho eventually got the cross armbreaker locked in, and Ishii is just doing a great job screaming in agony here. Definitely go compare him to that Yoshihashi selling from earlier. It's not a good comparison for Yoshi. Goto is able to dive in to save him, and Sho ends up coming back and hitting a cross-arm German suplex on Ishii for a 2 count. He wipes him out with a hard lariat. But Goto and Yoshihashi come in to help Ishii finally. And then we get the diving double knees from Yoshihashi, a sliding forearm from Ishii. Ishii hits a lariat, but Sho kicks out at 2. He hits the brainbuster on Sho and covers, and that's it. So that's the end of the match. But yeah, I thought this was surprisingly slow going at points, and again, comparing my take to Grapple's take, I'm way below it. I was like a 4.22 average or something, and I was pretty surprised when I saw that. I mean, I would go 3.5. I liked it, but the Ishii and Sho stuff like saved the match after I thought the early portion was like surprisingly not very good at all. So I would definitely take the Saturday main event over this one.
I also went 3.5. I was good, like especially with the Sho and Ishii stuff, like you said at the end. But that Okada Yoshihashi stuff just to fill time because they're going 24, which is longer than they usually do in New Japan 6-mans. They were obviously slowed down and looked like they were just trying to fill up space. One thing that I did agree with you, that Yoshihashi like sort of reversal into the lariat was awesome, but like I could feel the crowd wanted to scream for Yoshihashi when he did that. Right? That was just like that moment where it's like, if we had the crowd, they'd be going what? And I think like a crowd that could chant and scream and whatever would have certainly helped this match too at times.
They were supposed to do that like beta test for this.
Yeah, I saw that, but I was like, wait, am I supposed to be hearing something? But I never heard anything.
Yeah, the New Japan Cheer app. It just, I don't know what happened with that. I never heard it all night either. I mean, this was like the weekend where I finally got used to the clap crowds, I think. Because I just watched so many shows over and over and over again with all these crowds. Like, it just kind of, I'm not noticing it as much as I used to, I guess.
See, I hate the clap crowds. I said crap. Clap crowds now because, like, for the most part, like, I was watching all of the All Japan empty arena shows, and they just stuck staffers and wrestlers that weren't wrestling in the crowd. So Kento would get his chance when he came out and everything like that. People would at least pop for the big moves. So my brain hadn't been like rewired, so to speak, from the empty arena stuff as much, I think, as some people's were. So the clapping is still jarring to me.
Yeah, I don't know. It just I got used to it finally, I guess. But it is what it is. I mean, we're going to be stuck with it for a while, so no point really complaining about it anymore. But it as far as like, I mean, it was funny because it's like the moment I got used to it, I thought they were going to try this fucking cheer app thing. But they didn't, it didn't end up being anything. So, like, Milano held it up at the start of the show, and that was, like, the only thing we saw.
I mean, it could, even if it's, like, the crowd can sort of control the volume, sometimes just, like, the quality of piped-in noise just sounds crappy.
Yeah.
Regardless.
I mean, I think the AEW shit sounds awful. I listened to that on this past week, and I'm like, once you notice it, that, like, it's almost like SmackDown from 2000s level of, like, that repetitive, like kind of sound.
I haven't watched AEW in a couple of weeks, so I don't know.
Yeah, like the tape shows, you can definitely notice it. The semi-main event here, Naito and Evil worked tonight. It was Evil and Taiji Ishimori beating Naito and Bushi in 10:57 by DQ. So it started out with Naito beating Evil's ass all around ringside. Very aggressive in the match in general, even just like tossing Marty Asami aside to keep stomping Evil in the corner, and gave him a basement dropkick. The referee ended up getting bumped, and Dick Togo came in with his choke wire of doom. But after all three guys were stomping on Naito, Hiromu suddenly returned. He's been out for a couple weeks now with this shoulder injury. He went right after Ishimori, and the referee ends up calling it. He recovers and sees, Hiromu beating on Taiji, and calls the DQ to give it to Evil and Ishimori. So the angle was, kind of cool. Obviously, it's not a great finish to a match, but it's like the match was anything super special before that anyway, so it's not really that big deal. This just building up to two big matches of Jingu here, or Jingu. But yeah, I still went 3 stars. I thought it was heated, a good little brawl. Obviously, no finish, but build up match.
Yeah, it was fine for what it was. It was an angle. I'm sort of surprised it took this long to get to a DQ finish between these teams, or like a combination of these teams, given how many shows we've had so far. The Evil and Naito stuff was great build. So yeah, this is perfectly fine match just to advance the story. So I don't really have an issue with stuff like this.
Yeah. Match number 4 at 8-man tag: Tanahashi, Ibushi, Tenzan, and Wato beating Taichi, Zack, Desperado, and Kanemaru. Tanahashi pinning Kanemaru in 12:45 at the high fly flow.
Stop it!
He finally hits that fucking move at least. It started out a bit slow. The brawl around ringside really was not anything special. Things picked up back in the ring with a nice Ibushi-Taichi exchange. They clapped loudly to support Ibushi, but then we got a big wild closing sequence with everyone running through, and Tanahashi hit the high fly flow on Kanemaru for the pin, which is easily his most decisive win in quite a long time. So I guess they're trying to show that he's recovering finally. But yeah, the match really wasn't anything too special, especially the early boring portion. I went 2 3/4.
Yeah, it's fine for what it was. I'd go the gentleman's 3. I think when you sort of just keep, after 4 days of almost the same combinations of teams, it's you're going to run out of stuff to do pretty fast.
Yeah.
And it's one thing when you're going on a house show tour and not every show is televised in different cities and that, but you're going to get exposed 4 straight TV shows at Korakuen.
Shingo and Sonata defeating Minoru Suzuki and Doki in 12:09. Sonata pinning Doki with the O'Connor Bridge, and like I said, in 12:09. So this was pretty good. I actually liked this quite a bit. Suzuki and Doki jumped their opponents with the bell. Turned into a wild brawl around ringside, and Suzuki used a chair on Shingo. And then Sonata and Doki had another pretty fun exchange, and it ended with Sonata pinning him with the O'Connor roll. Fun match. I went 3 1/4. I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I think this might have been the best sort of undercard match for me, because it did a great job sort of further establishing the whole Shingo versus Suzuki thing. So yeah, go about 3 1/4.
Match 2 was Kojima, Nagata, and Taguchi beating Makabe, Honma, and Tsuji. Kojima pinning Tsuji in 9:47 with a lariat. Some fun action here with the old guys, even including Honma for once, as he and Nagata really went at it. And Yota Tsuji did a flipping senton on Kojima. He's a big guy to do a flip senton. That looked pretty cool. And then Kojima, though, finally comes back and lays him out with a lariat for the win. Another 3 1/4 star match for me. Fun and energetic. I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it was fun. It was great for what it was. And as a third-generation enthusiast, I'm actually would like to see Yuji Nagata and Kojima as a regular tag team, because they could still both go. I think that would be what I would like to see, but I doubt New Japan will do that.
And the opener, Yujiro Takahashi and Gato beating Uemura and Gabriel Kidd in 8:32 with the Yujiro pinning Uemura in 8:32 with the pimp juice. I don't know. Match was pretty boring. I thought not even as good as yesterday. The Young Lions, they tried to bring a little excitement when they fought back, but Yujiro and Gato, you can only do so much with them. But yeah, I didn't even think this was as good as the previous day's match. I only went 2 1/4 here.
Yeah, you know what? I probably going to admit that my attention wasn't completely focused on this, so I didn't really it just kind of reminded me of the day before, right? So I would just slap another 2 stars on it, whatever.
It was what it was. But overall, yeah. I thought this was a really fun weekend of New Japan. Nothing. All 4 shows had their share of pretty damn good stuff. We got at least a 4-star match out of this. Out of this tournament, and a bunch of other stuff I really liked. So I would say it was a fun 4 days, a fun tournament, and I definitely enjoyed it.
My biggest critique would be the undercard by day 4, with the exception of really the the Shingo and the Suzuki match with those guys, it was starting to get a little tired and, wearing on you, I thought, because we'd seen those combinations all before in one way or another.
Yeah.
But it's still, overall, it was still 4 fun shows.
So there you go. I guess we'll move over then to Pro Wrestling Noah for 2 shows, also at Korakuen Hall on August 4th on Tuesday and August 5th Wednesday. They were both Departure 2020, the 20th anniversary of Noah. First of all, the very first thing that has to be said, for the 20th anniversary of your promotion's founding, the best you can do is 2 Korakuens with 2 matches between them. There's the main events were big matches. Everything on both undercards was nothing. I was really flabbergasted just looking at these cards. I don't know. Do you just...
Well, I guess if you're looking at it from a 20th anniversary perspective, yeah, there wasn't anything special. I wouldn't say anything was offensive. I gave a bunch 3 3/4 and 2 3/4 to the undercards, but I suppose if you sort of look at it as the 20th anniversary, yeah, there was no spice or anything like that.
Yeah,
in the undercards.
I just found it very bizarre, honestly. The main event of night 1, which is, we're going to talk about the only thing on both shows that I really liked that much. So, this is really right off the bat, and it was all downhill from here. The main event of the first day was for the GHC national title. Katsuhiko Nakajima trying to defend against Kano, but Kano gets the win by knockout in 24-45. So yeah, this was awesome. This was if you're going to watch anything from these 2 shows, this should be it. You really could skip almost everything else, but this was an awesome match. We started things off with a big stare down, just like Go Fujita, although this one lasted only under 2.5 minutes instead of 30. But I just thought it was funny that we had another Noah match that starts out with the stare down. Nakajima finally just went after him. They do a cool little sequence on the floor early on where Kano gets Irish whipped by Nakajima, but grabs onto the ring post to swing himself back in the ring and then hit a baseball slide to Nakajima back on the floor. A cute and kind of innovative spot. The brawl on the floor kind of drags a little bit, but things get better once they're back in the ring. We really hit overdrive with a crazy kick sequence from Nakajima and a spinning brainbuster. He goes for the PK, but Kano manages to get out of the way. But he's still down and selling the beating as we hit the 20-minute mark. Kano comes back by kicking Nakajima's legs out from under him when he tries something off the top rope. And this spot I don't love because it doesn't make a lot of sense why Nakajima is suddenly unable to do anything just having his legs kicked. He was one who was kicking all this ass before this, so there's really no reason for him to be selling. It was kind of a bad transition spot. Kano hits a crazy dragon suplex off the top, and then an enormous top rope double stomp right after that. So that was really cool. Nakajima kicks out. We get a awesome fucking slap exchange. Both guys really trying to actually dodge them instead of just standing there and taking them. It looked really great. Both guys start trading kicks, and Kano eventually gets the better of it with a high kick that puts Nakajima down, and the referee stops it for the knockout. An awesome finish. They just ended up trading, and Kano just got the better of it in the end. But yeah, I went 4 1/4 overall. There were parts that dragged, and I said that little one transition annoyed me a lot, but it was just a super physical battle between 2 guys who just beat the piss out of each other. Exactly what I love in professional wrestling. And like I said, an awesome finish too. So
I went 4. Yeah, I agree that it sort of dragged in points, but everything from the top rope dragon suplex and the stomp was awesome. The finish was good, and there was also this one sequence where Nakajima was blocking a bunch of Kano's kicks and then just unleashed a flurry of his own. Kano doesn't always do it for me, so I don't know, I sort of have this thing with him, although I don't think he's bad by any stretch, but he just never sort of reaches that sort of super elite level. But I still thought this was the best show, a best match on both of these shows, and definitely worth checking out.
The semi-main event was the alleged 28th anniversary match, 6-man tag team match. Naomichi Marufuji, Takashi Sugiura, and Yoshinari Ogawa defeating Go Shiozaki, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Kotaro Suzuki in 27:45. And boy, it felt like every second of that. But it was just really boring. It finally picked up when we had Go and Marufuji building up their match the next night. Go used these Vader hammers on Marufuji, which looked pretty good. But Marufuji came back with a key lock that he eventually got locked in on him after a brief struggle, and Go tapped. I I was charitable with 3 stars. I was very dull a lot of the way. Did pick up towards the end, but God, it was not worth 28 minutes of your life. I would not recommend watching it. But
yeah, I also went 3 stars. This was certainly, to me, the most disappointing match of the 2 days because I didn't exactly have the highest expectations on Go versus Marufuji as a singles, but I was looking forward to this match. I have like a few things. I liked the Ogawa versus Kaito stuff at the beginning. That was fun. And I thought the Go versus Marufuji stuff at the end was actually pretty decent, but it just sort of ended up lacking drama right at the end when he finally gets him in the submission. And I also noted like when Marufuji's got Go in the key lock, I noted it sort of summed up the match for me. Ogawa and Suzuki are on the outside, and like Ogawa just casually like strolls up to Suzuki and gives him the most like least menacing looking eye rake I've ever seen, and it's sort of like to keep him from saving Go. And I just thought that summed it up, like just casually go and give it an eye rake at what is supposed to be a heated finish. So
match 4, can you explain something to me? I never understand what the fuck is going on with Rattels. Like Daisuke Harada, Tadasuke, and Yohei, they're still teaming together in every show. They're not called Rattels. The announcers refer to them as the former Rattels. Why are they not just called Rattels still? I don't understand.
I don't quite know.
I mean, I get it. I mean, I get that fucking Hayata's not in it anymore. But like, why can't the rest of them just be Rattels if they're going to team up all the time anyway? I don't understand.
Because they'll end up turning on each other in a couple of months anyway.
It's so stupid. It's like one of the dumbest things. It's a very minor thing, but it just fucking annoys me. Like it's like, okay, we split up Chaos, and now all the Chaos members are still teaming together, but they're not allowed to be called Chaos. It's like, what? Like everybody would be like, what the fuck? Well, what does that mean?
I'm going to admit that I was watching Noah like all through early in the year, but then as soon as I realized how sort of bad their empty arena shows were, like during the tag league, I sort of tuned out and waited for the crowds to come back. So I missed a bit of Noah. Although I've been catching up lately, and I thought the Congo produce show was actually a lot of fun from July 24th. So if I've missed something with the ongoing saga of Rattels, I might have.
I don't understand it either. But yeah, so Harada, not the Rattels, Harada, Tadasuke, and Yohei defeated Full Throttle, Atsushi Kotoge, Hajime Ohara, and Seiki Yoshioka in 14:55. This was to build up an IPW Junior title match for August 10th with Harada and Kotoge, which is a battle of ex-tag team partners, which, by the way, that belt, like, outliving the promotion in the UK is pretty funny. Harada got his knees up on a Kotoge moonsault and just immediately pinned him, which was a pretty surprise ending. It was some perfectly fine Junior 6-man action. Nothing really stood out here to me in any way. I went 3 stars on it again. So...
yeah, I thought it was fine, and I liked the finish. It was perfectly fine, like Junior 6-man.
Match number 3 was Mohamed Yone and Shuhei Taniguchi defeating the Congo team of Manabu Soya and Yoshiki Inamura in 13:30. Soya with the bright red hair just looks so different than the Soya I remember from Wrestle 1. It's like really crazy. Soya and Maybach had a nice little thick dude battle, but this match was like, again, something you wouldn't expect to say a few years ago. Match was pretty good when Maybach Taniguchi, of all people, was in there, especially when he was in there with Soya, but it was pretty bad when Yone was in there. Yone had a bad night. Taniguchi, he had a series of PKs for the win. I just like, I don't know, even the portion with him and Soya kind of ended up to drag a little by the end, so I would go with 2.5. I mean, this was like a average match.
I like this. I went 3 1/4. I thought Taniguchi versus Soya was the highlight. Also, I would recommend on the July 24th Congo Produce show, there's a pretty good Taniguchi versus Manabu Soya singles match that's worth checking out. But I thought Inamura didn't really do anything. It was really all Taniguchi and Soya for here, but I liked it.
Match 2, Hayata and Kinya Okada defeating Congo of team of Hao and Neo. This was just really not good. I mean, the indie ref awkwardness to it, especially when Hayata and Hao were working together. Just spots where both guys would stop randomly, or things that just looked very, very overly clunky. Hayata ended up getting the pin with a roll up. I just didn't like this at all. I went 1 3/4.
I went like 2.5. It never really, like, if you're going to do sloppy indie level work, then at least, do some crazy shit, which they didn't even bother to do here. It was whatever. I mean, it didn't, like, come across as the worst match or anything, so I'll just give it a 2.5.
The opener, Masa Kitamiya beating Akitoshi Saito at 9:14. Saito can have his moments, but this was not it. I mean, it was old man Saito beating down Kitamiya for a while, and then he hit him with a weak-looking spear for the win. Not good. 1.5 stars.
Yeah, I went 1 3/4. Just this shouldn't have been on this show.
So yeah, this undercard was not good. Main event was awesome. Undercard was pretty damn bad, with peaked at 3 stars for me, and some really bad stuff in the earlier part of it, especially. So definitely not. Like I said, just watch the main event. You don't have to watch anything else from the show. Then I don't know. Do you disagree with that at all?
No.
The Noah Day 2, Departure Day 2 on August 5th. So this started out with a main event that I guess is proving to be pretty divisive with Go Shiozaki and Naomichi Marufuji. It has a much higher rating on fucking Cage Match than I ever would have expected. It's an 8.38 based on 20 votes, which averages out to a 4, almost a 4.25, between
the
4 and 4.
inmates are running the asylum.
Yeah, I don't know what that fucking rate. I mean, I thought this fucking sucked. I mean, I've seen other people say it sucked too. I've seen a lot of people say it was fine. I saw one guy on Twitter say it was match of the year, which I'm like, okay. But yeah, I thought this was one of the worst major world title matches I've seen in a long time. I just thought it was really bad. I mean, it dragged forever. I mean, almost 31 minutes. Started very slow. There was a nice spot where Marufuji sent he dropped toe holded Go into the barricade, which looked dangerous, but still a very slow pace. We got a long grounded headlock from Marufuji that felt like it went on forever. Marufuji did probably the highlight of the match, other than that drop toe, was Marufuji hitting his step up knee attack on Go, with Go in midair going for a diving shoulder block. But it was so boring again after that. I mean, the only spot of note I have in quite a while is Marufuji hitting an apron pile driver on Go, which honestly didn't even look that cool. Go went for the Go Flasher for a 2 count, or he hit the Go Flasher for a 2 count. Marufuji hit a very sloppy looking strike sequence, and then that stupid standing Shiranai that I always thought looked bad, and that he gets that for a 2 count before the 20-minute mark. He hits the real Shiranai for another 2 count. They fight to the top rope, and Maru gets the Shiranai off the top, but Go kicks out too again. And there's nothing wrong with this finishing sequence, but it just feels extremely by the numbers, with neither guy showing anything in the way of passion or fire. I didn't think either guy was selling really particularly well either. It just felt like, we're here, we're doing this match, this is what we're doing. It didn't nothing in here grabbed me at all. We get another very awkward sequence where Go just kind of ends up standing there for a second before Maru wraps him up in his wacky submission takedown and then gets a key lock. And Go selling just again looked very lethargic here to me, and it just wasn't into that at all. We finally get some energy from Marufuji with a nice little combo of knee strikes and super kicks on Go for a 2 count. The crowd also starts clapping much louder here, indicating they're finally into it as we hit the 25-minute mark. Marufuji hits a knee attack. After a very delayed cover, Go kicks out. I don't know. Marufuji goes for something. I don't even know what. But Go kind of catches him in midair and just kind of hoists him up and hits the Emerald Frozen. And now both guys are down, which is exactly what this match did not need. They did a very slow chop exchange. And again, we're almost 30 minutes in here, and the chop exchange was... a slow chop exchange was not what this match needed either. They start chopping each other a little faster, and it gets a little better, but I was still very ready for this match to be over. Thankfully, it almost was. And Go hit an Emerald Frozen just before the 30-minute call. Marufuji kicks out. Go slams him and hits a moonsault for the pin. Thank God. I thought this fucking sucked. Like I said, I went 1 3/4. I don't even think it deserves 2 stars. Neither guy looked like they gave a shit. Neither guy showed any fire. Neither guy sold particularly well. They looked like they just walked through a match that was just dull as shit. I just didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. And it's not like I'm some Go Shiozaki or Noah hater. I mean, Go versus Kiyomiya from the start of the year is a 4 3/4 star match and one of my matches of the year. But this wasn't good.
Well, I'm not going to go insane like some people at Cage Match, but I just went gentleman's 3 on this. It was slow and it dragged, but as someone that has to like force myself not to pick up my phone when I get bored watching wrestling, it somehow still managed to keep my attention enough so I didn't pick up my phone. Although that's not to say it was like thrilling, but it was just barely enough. And there was some absolutely sloppy stuff in here. I agree. I don't know. I appreciate Go at least looking like he's trying to sell his arm through most of the match, which is something that not wrestlers sort of some wrestlers don't even bother to try to do when it comes to limb selling. I don't know. I couldn't truly hate it, but like I couldn't love it either. I thought it was fine it was passable, I guess. I don't know.
Not for a minute. I mean, 3 stars is a great GHC heavyweight title match. Anyway.
For a 30-minute match
yeah.
too, I'll say, right?
Yeah.
Like there was a couple of moments that I couldn't hate it, so I kind of liked, I guess. So yeah, 3.
Match number 4 on the show was the Sugera Gun team in a 12-man tag team match. Hideki Suzuki, Kaz Hayashi, Kazushi Sakuraba, Kendo Kashin, Nosawa Rangai, and Takashi Sugera defeating the Congo team of Hao, Neo, Kano, Manabu Soya, Masa Kitamiya, and Yoshiyuki Inamura in 1958. This I enjoyed. I liked this quite a bit. I mean, there was some really nice grappling with Kano and Sakuraba early. Hideki and Soya had this like big boy confrontation with a test of strength, and then a headlock into the corner. Things got kind of heated there, and Hideki even like pie faced him as he broke the hold, which is pretty great. Kitamiya came in next and really wanted Sugera, but like somewhat hilariously, they tell Nosawa to go get him instead. That went about as well for him as you probably expect. After that, all 6 members of Congo took turns beating up Kendo Kashin, which was kind of funny. They tried to do the same thing with Sugera. It didn't go nearly as well, as he wiped out most of that team with lariats. We got a plancha from Sakuraba, which was cool. It was immediately followed up by a kind of long chin lock from Sugera, which was less cool. But just when things were getting boring, Kano came in to thankfully wake things up with his awesome kicks. Takes out multiple guys just before the 15-minute call. And then Kitamiya runs wild at Hideki, but Hideki comes back with his awesome kneeling tombstone and a double arm suplex for the pin. Like I said, slow sometimes, but undoubtedly the best match of these 2 undercards, and the second best match of either 2 shows for me. I went 3.5 on it.
I also went 3.5. This was the real 20th anniversary Noah match for me. The Keno versus Saku stuff at the beginning, I loved the grappling. Soya looked so angry at Hideki. It was an incredible, his facial expressions of anger at Hideki were awesome. And Kendo Kashin didn't stink up the place. He was perfectly fine and passable. So, that's a plus. So yeah, 3.5.
Match number 3 was the Stinger team of Hayata, Kotaro Suzuki, and Yoshinari Ogawa, beating Definitely Not Rattel's Daisuke Harada, Tadasuke, and Yohei in 12:29. This was just a match, fine, but nothing special. Hayata ended up pinning Harada with a kind of awkward roll-up at the end of a kind of awkward sequence. So I went 2.5 on it. It was fine.
I went 3. It was fine. I think you nailed everything about or lacking in the match. So yeah.
Match 2 was Daiki Inaba, Kaito Kiyomiya, and Shuhei Taniguchi defeating Full Throttle, Atsushi Kotoge, Hajime Ohara, and Seiki Yoshioka in 13:33. This was an interesting 6-man with a heavyweight trio against a junior trio. The undercard I thought here was more interesting than the previous days in general. There was some nice action with Yoshioka running wild on Inaba and Kiyomiya, including a very nice Asai moonsault where he landed on his feet over the railing perfectly. So, he looked good here. Another fun little undercard match with Kiyomiya pinning Ohara with a tiger suplex hold. I would go 3.25. I thought I enjoyed myself quite a bit here.
I also went 3.25. I liked the last couple minutes with Ohara and Kaito, although I have written in my notes here at it, and this is what I thought about when I was watching it. Were the juniors too dominant over Kaito at points in this match?
Yeah, maybe. Kaito sells for everybody, though. It's kind of his whole thing.
I know, but he could stop selling for juniors and undercard guys at some point. I don't know, but that just stuck out to me.
The opener was Katsuhiko Nakajima, Kinya Okada, and Mohamed Yone, defeating Akitoshi Saito and Masao Inoue, the Dark Agents, and Seiya Morihashi in 12:51. Our first big disappointment of the day here was Masao Inoue coming out to Saito's theme song, which means we don't get to hear the greatest theme song of all time. Really love that Inoue theme song. A big step down here for Nakajima from the main event as national champion to the opener against the old guys without the belt. But yeah, this was definitely way more energetic than the opening few matches from yesterday. Mostly thanks to Nakajima running from the prior day, I should say. Mostly thanks to Nakajima running around and beating ass. And then Yone pinned Morohashi with a muscle buster. Enjoyable little opener. I went 3 stars. So.
Yeah, it was fine. I'd go about 3 stars too. I thought the highlight for me is the beginning when Nakajima was just stomping Inoue's foot. I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, folks. I guess we've covered a ton of stuff here. So,
although I suppose one thing, like, what do you like? I had been tuned out of Noah for so long, and it's just sort of like I don't know where I feel like this company is going compared to like how awesome I thought it was the first couple of months of 2020.
Yeah, I mean they're kind of in a weird little transition period now or something. So it's very I don't know. It's not like it's definitely not my favorite promotion right now. I will say that. I mean, I don't know where they're going either. They still have a lot of talent, so I'm not. I think they can get things back in gear at some point. But yeah, I mean, they were a promotion I really loved in 2019, and was really enjoying at the start of the year, and they've definitely fallen off a lot.
Nassau was moving down those Booker of the Year rankings, I think. At this point.
I think so. But yeah, I mean, overall, it was a weird 2 shows because. Complete inverse of each other. The first show, awesome main event, terrible undercard, or pretty bad undercard. Second show, pretty bad main event, terrible main event, and a pretty damn good undercard. So they put it together, they would have one good show, but they didn't. So what are you going to do? Any other final thoughts, I guess, on these 2 shows?
No, my only other thought is like that upcoming Yokohama Bunka Gym show. It could go disastrous on how they end up depending on how they book it, it could be a fiasco, I think. But
yeah,
we'll see. Because Muto's been making noise about challenging for the GHC for like a couple of months now, so I'm like worried that he's going to beat Kaito.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I don't know. Yeah. He very well could, right? So, all right, we can wrap it up here. Give me some plugs.
Yeah, so stay tuned for Voices of Wrestling wall-to-wall coverage of the Champion Carnival. I know that Thomas and Paul are also eager to do that. And next week, look out, I will have a multi-part series. I think it'll run about 3 parts. August 15th, 2020 marks 10 years since Toshiaki Kawada wrestled his final match. He just sort of disappeared and had lost interest apparently after Misawa died, so he didn't go through the whole retirement thing. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. He's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. I don't think anyone would dispute that. So I'm just sort of doing a retrospective of all of his biggest and best or most important matches from after the Noah split, because that's a time that sort of I feel in his career that really gets ignored. Everyone knows the classic All Japan stuff from the 90s, but he's got like a ton of awesome stuff from the 2000s that I think a lot of people slept on because people weren't watching All Japan, and he also pops up in 01 with some decent stuff at points. So I'm going to be going through basically the best matches of the 2000s for Kawada.
I always forget he was 01 world champion.
Yeah, that was like that was like in 2009. So literally like the year before he retired, he was 01 champion.
Yeah. So that belt has had like a bizarre history, but Nagata held it too. It still has the AWA belt representing it. But what are you gonna? It's a weird belt. All right, folks. So of course you can follow us on Twitter at Wrestling Omakase. Wrestling would have been, of course. You can check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Wrestling Omakase. We're going to have continuing coverage of the King of DDT and Tokyo Joshi Princess Cup. I'm going to go right over to watching King of DDT as soon as I finish recording and editing this. So, got a packed weekend here of stuff. So I hope you'll come check it out for only $5 a month. Next week on the free feed, we're going to have myself and TJ from the One Wrestling podcast will be rejoining me. We're going to talk about the All Japan Korakuen from next week, August 15th. We're going to talk about whatever comes out from the Stardom 5-Star GP. At least the whole opening night should be out by then, and we'll see if there's anything out from the 8/15 Osaka show before we record on Sunday. And we'll also talk about the second week of the New Japan Cup USA. So that should be a lot of fun. So definitely check that out next week. In the meantime, thank you as always for listening, and we'll see you next time.